Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Riddell. I'm the owner at 512 Ritchie Crescent. I've returned to state my objection to the developments at 516, 518 Ritchie. I have a number of things here.
You know what, we'll just go, yeah, okay.
As a neighbor next door, I live here. We will have our privacy affected by the overlook of the balconies, front and back. Our views will be overwhelmed by the battlement wall on the east of our property, towering over our roof line and blocking the morning sun. Access to do maintenance will be greatly hindered. Our east-facing windows will now lose all their sunlight, with a 60-foot wall running past our house all the way down towards the lake. The sidewall extending into the backyard will also further restrict our water and park views. But the building's effect will not just be on us. The public using the waterfront trail and parks will also be impacted. Mr. Quinn, here's your picture that you were asking. The front elevation massing is not minor to the pedestrian on the street. Recently, the bylaw 171 was put into law for this area, restricting the height of flat-roofed housing to 7.5 meters. This was passed by the city, and just recently, terminology came out from the OMB to say that it was supported. Not because there was a huge objection to flat-roofed houses, but because the negative massing effect of the flat roof facade on the streetscape. Applicants have only technically removed the height restriction by putting a sloped roof behind the facade. What I've done is I've combined what is being presented today with what was presented in September. The facade is actually taller now than it was in September when it was turned down by the committee. The height is no longer 10.7 meters that was requested in September, but 11.7 meters. There's an explanation for that. This is a sketch from the plans that were submitted to the committee. The yellow is marked where the facade is on the front of the property. And as you notice, it goes to the mid-roof, or the midpoint goes to here, and the facade goes all the way up to the ridge line. From the side view, this is the facade at the front, this is the facade at the back. This is in line with the ridge line, but on the front face, what it is a flat roof. The problem with this approach is the accumulated massing, but also asking for side yard setback variances. The problem is compounded. I have a sketch to show what the difference this makes. Very rough, apologies, but it is to scale. The green is what the bylaw requests, as you have the step backs at the various floors. The pink is the variance that is being before you now. And what they have is they have the step back on the main, first story floor. Between the buildings, you have the setback for the orange, which goes all the way up and across. That is actually the same setback that was requested in September when it was turned down. The bylaw uses side yard setbacks to soften the massing impact by tapering the second and the third story. The setbacks of this application are 50% and 75% of what they should be at grade. The upper floor setbacks are completely ignored. The setback infringement in terms of the massing effect is even greater, as the fireplace on the west side, and colored in yellow here, now sticks out of the building by 1.5 feet. This is in addition to the setbacks already requested. This has the visual effect of totally negating the benefits of the setback. This is just a visual impact. The usefulness of the side yard, this is just a visual impact that I've just demonstrated. The usefulness of the side yard as access for maintenance is fully compromised. The impact of massing on the street is excessive, and the impact on the lakeside enormous. The impact these structures have on the lakeside are generational. What is built now will control this view for years to come. 4 stories on the lake does not fit within the area of 1 to 2 story homes. The property is on the edge of a conservation area, and the owners should be building with some concern and stewardship of this fact. To build a rigid structure, which is 42 feet in height, protruding from the shoreline and park, is improper for this unique setting. Trees may die off, but the structures will stay and should not reduce the lakefront trail scenery and the views from the land or water. The official plan places high value to preserve and improve green environment and streetscapes. In this unique stretch of waterfront trail, we have an opportunity to enhance the setting with housing built to scale of the street. This is a 25-foot lot and has not changed since it was purchased. The buildings on this street are commonly small in nature and reflect a great historical acceptance of the natural surroundings. This is the cottage country of my father. It has, over the years, supported many families, and many have stayed, and now some are returning, in part because of the lake setting. The cultural heritage, the lake, the naturalized parks of this area, as mentioned many times in the official plan, suggest Mississauga has zoned this area to protect these attributes. This street, a corridor between the heritage parks, should be protected, even more than is normally done elsewhere. The request for a reduction in green space and soft landscaping should be rejected out of hand, as it cannot be viewed as desirable or in keeping with what the city is striving to achieve on the waterfront. Each one of us, as lakefront owners, have an obligation, because of our privileged position, to show stewardship in enhancing the green space and streetscape, not covering it with concrete. Reducing the soft landscaping from 40% to 15% is an affront to the city's efforts. The request to exceed the lot coverage is not necessary, desirable, or in keeping with the official plan or zoning. To say more building is better than the surrounding environment is short-sighted and not very enlightened. I also bought a 25-foot lot. If I had wanted to build the Buckingham Palace, I would have purchased a larger lot. Any developer knows that the lots in the lakefront will have restrictions. I checked with the city staff. We'll quickly set this straight, as my wife found when she inquired about the bylaw protections before we purchased our property. The response from staff increased our desire to purchase this waterfront property, as we were led to believe the bylaws protected this area. The request for a lot coverage variance should be turned down, as it is not desirable, not in keeping with the intention of the official plan or zoning, nor benefiting the environment. I ask that the committee turn down both these applications. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee members, any questions for the neighbor? Mr. Martin, do you just want to clarify? I think the neighbor had said that we turned something down in September. Was it?
Correct. There were 2 applications dealt with. I think it was A 38915 and 390.
Right.
The committee did deny the one request. The applicant then, instead of proceeding with the other request, deferred the application. That's why you still have A 39015. That one is the application that was previously before you but was deferred. Subsequently, the applicants did submit a new application rather than appealing the previous decision. They submitted the new application A4516.
So 518 Ritchie is the new applicant, which
Correct.
was turned down, the 389, which was turned down.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
The one was
and
turned down.
390 was deferred.
Was deferred, yeah. It was never heard in committee. They deferred the application to redesign and preserve the application to go forward.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn, do you have a question or a comment or a question of the neighbor or just a?
Oh, this gentleman here. First of all, I want to compliment you on your presentation.
Thank you.
I wonder, has there been any discussion? I mean, you're very. I wonder, has there been any discussion? I mean, you're very close in this situation, and we heard of the cooperation between the two builders. Has there been any cooperation with you? Has there been any effort made? Has what you've said here today been already transmitted and dealt with?
In August, and I had a brief discussion with them. I was told at that time that if I was not willing to accept setbacks or variances, that there was no need in talking to me. I took that as being the case. So I never approached them. I spent some time walking up and down the street trying to get a different perspective on the development that was going forward. But in terms of talking to the applicants, no, I had the 1 or 2 meetings with them, and I got the distinct feeling that the variances were going to be required and that they were not going to build within the bylaw. I own a 25-foot lot. I do not intend to ask for a variance. I bought a house that I plan on retiring in, and I'm not going to be rebuilding it and asking for variances. So when it was stated that all of the houses on that street will be redeveloped in this manner, mine will not.
Mr. Page?
You had mentioned Waterfront Trail.
Yes.
As I remember, that's not public access back there. Is it behind your house or the houses in question?
Some of the properties may or may not have riparian rights. There is a green space that is controlled by the Conservation Authority. The Waterfront Trail actually goes in front of the property. It's sandwiched between the Adamson Estate, the McMillan Park, the Waterfront Trail on the front, and the waterfront on the back, or the actual lake on the back door.
I mean, I know it's navigable, so you could stop your canoe and get out legally.
I do.
Beyond that, I've never been able to walk my dog behind the houses. It always seemed to.
Many people do.
Yeah. Okay. And I would just make a comment, a challenge. It's just a perspective comment. You know, for millennia, that's been dense Carolinian forests interspersed by swamps pretty much right up to the water. So it's kind of a where do you draw the line on progress? I mean, some might say that developments along there was an insult to the millennial First Nations, access and utilization of the lake. But I'm just trying to get a handle on that right now. I think you made a good point there, and I'm just trying to get my mind around it. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee members, any other questions for the neighbor?